And if we get a case in and I'm working with a paralegal or an associate, I'll go in and I'll say, here's the situation. And try to lay the groundwork. And if then they have to go do some research or read a certain part of the code, then that's what they have to do. And then, so eventually you develop, just like in law school, you develop this patchwork of knowledge. And after a while, it starts to, you're starting to get the whole quilt, if you will. So it's a different kind of training. And I think there's a little longer throat to making sense of the whole thing. But it's all right. It works eventually. A lot of responsibility on you to hit the books and learn stuff that nobody else is going to teach you.
Sure. If any of you get the opportunity to work at a big firm for a couple of years, I think you should do it. It's hard to get big firm jobs. I couldn't get a job at a big firm now out of Golden Gate University. You have to be pretty much Ivy League. See, the number of big firms is contracting. There are fewer and fewer because they're merging to 1,000-lawyer firms. So it's very competitive. They have, the pick of students around the nation. At a big firm, you're going to get your niche. You're going to be put in a particular area. You might be rotated through different practice groups as part of a formal program. But you will have exposure to a lot of very, very bright people, both your peers and the partners. And I go back to mentorship. It's really about the individual, not so much about the firm. I was at the Northern District Judicial Conference last spring. One of the speakers was the general counsel of Apple, and he was talking about this topic of how corporations pick lawyers, and he said, if I have a bet the company piece of litigation, I want Mr. X as my litigator. I don't care if Mr. X comes along with, a ton of minions from a big firm. I want Mr. X. Well, usually those Mr. X's are at big law firms. Sometimes there's exceptions, like Joe Pritchett, one of the best plaintiffs, litigators around, is from a relatively small firm. But clients hire, what they say is clients hire lawyers, not firms. So the fastest route you can get to be the best lawyer you have the capability to be is your best shot.
And on the subject of large firms, we did have about 10 participated in our summer program. They did interview our students, and some even have gotten offers to join their summer programs. So you're absolutely right, Cecily, it's extremely competitive, which is why we're talking about small firms as a route for our students. So speaking of which, if students want to research the small firms that are out there, it's a very different game than with the large firms. Get all the attention, and there's websites to go to them. How do you recommend students conduct their research to learn about their options that are out there among small firms?
Oh, I was just going to say that.
You do this one.
Well, okay, let's assume that you have a practice area that you're interested in. That might be a good way to start your search. Because you will find, if you just Google, that practice area and lawyers or whatever, you can get to the names of people who are known in that field. And people who are known to be at the top of each field exist in both big firms and small firms. It's not like there's all the quality on one side and all we have to offer is the discount rates on the other side. There are really good lawyers in both big and small firms. So I would say focus on your practice area and ask your friends. Networking is really, really important. I recently hired an associate because, let me think, one of my former colleagues at another firm called me and said, hey, I got a call from this guy who is who's the friend of a good friend of mine, and he's looking for a job in a law firm. I'm at Jones Day, I don't have any room for him. Do you guys have any room? So then I would talk to the guy who's a friend of a friend of a friend. So use that networking, because the way we hire is If you're a junior lawyer, we look for smart people. You don't have to know anything about it, but we can tell. Believe it or not, we can tell if you're a smart person, no matter where you went to law school. And that's what's going to make you successful.
I think it's a very difficult question. I mean, there's a lot of small law firms out there doing a lot of different things. And so how do you penetrate into that? I think it's hard. There's a lot of websites out there. You can search for patent lawyer in Oakland, and my name will come up. So I suppose you could do that. But I think that Cecily's right that the networking is probably your best shot. And it's like if you're a client, you're trying to find a lawyer, you ask your family and friends, and you're gonna find somebody to eventually. But if you go to bar functions, you can join the bar association and start going and rubbing shoulders with other attorneys. Take work from other lawyers, go to lunch. I mean, however it is that you can just have some face time with people that are already working in the industry is important. And then they will tell you who the law firms are in the area that are doing what you want, what you're interested in. And I would also put in a bid for Think National, and that it's a really big country, and if there's a job in DC, go there, and don't get stuck here. And it's a wonderful area. I was born here, so I like San Francisco. But go where the work is. And be flexible and be patient. It'll happen.
Just everything you said. But once you are licensed, the bar associations, if you're interested in a practice area, a couple of them, there are lots of there are national bars. There's the American Bar Association. Everybody's got they're all split out in the practice areas, and then there's committees and subcommittees, and it's all divided up. There's litigation in each area. There's all sorts of things. So once you begin to narrow it down, and you're licensed, you can join the associations, and you can get on listservs where you can see discussion groups, and then people will chime in on listservs, and all of a sudden you're seeing who's participating. You can start to see approaches of different law firms, the way they discuss issues, or who's taking leadership, and that kind of thing. So I think that would be a lot, in addition to everything else.
And local bar associations as well. For example,
Right.
The Bar Association in San Francisco has different practice areas.
Right, all the way down to the local level. Right.
Exactly. And this is a good chance for me to plug what we do at Law Career Services, because if you are trying to find a small firm that fits what you're looking for, it'd be a great opportunity to meet with us. We have all sorts of resources that we can point you to. One that I'll mention now is student evaluations. We have hundreds of evaluations that students have filled out after working in small firms and other employers. And those can be very useful to figure out whether or not students have had experiences there and whether or not the firm would be a good fit. Earlier, we talked about the importance of personality because small firms are small, and so it's a more tight-knit group. So can you talk for a bit about what you're looking for in students? How important is personal fit? I know that's what you said. Writing is also important, but how important is the personal connection? How do you assess that when you're assessing student applicants?
Well, law firms tend to have personalities, like any group. So a particular law firm might be, I just kind of throw out, might be very hierarchical and regimented. It's usually kind of the personality of the managing partner or the most senior person. They like order and process, and if you find that your personality is suited to that, you'll be able to sense when you talk to a firm, hey, I'm a good fit. It doesn't mean you have to be likable to everybody. You just have to fit with the particular group. Other law firms are very, sort of unorthodox. Their lawyers have their male lawyers have ponytails, and they wear jeans, and and they're sort of